Hello. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Yes, we are a tiny bit later for the dialogue, seeing in the chat. We're a little bit later in the month for the dialogue than I typically aim for, but the high holidays meant that it was easier to shift some things around. And skipping the ad on my monitor and messing up my focus. Okay, I'm right here. Camera. There we go. I am back in focus. And now I really could use like multiple monitors. Aha! I think that was my notification for once you're on time. I feel like I could say the same thing. I'm usually on time. There's a bit of a delay, so like when I always like start talking right at 7, but it might take a few minutes for that to show up. Yes, about the lightning. We will discuss that in a little bit. I am a huge fan of this inspiration photo myself. Oh, I can bring this, so then I don't have to try to read it there. I can try to read it here, and it's a little bigger on the iPad. Oh yeah, this is a picture I've been holding on to for a while. The colors just really called to me, and especially after last month's inspiration, which was, I may still have it. Yeah, it was the book. It was the book. Since last month it was so muted and neutral, I really wanted to pick something that had a lot more saturation and punch. And I also really wanted to play with these colors. I think it's been a while since I've done like purples for the dialogue. So this felt appropriate. Now, but yeah. All right, so now I will, I guess, officially do the introduction. Hello, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and welcome to the September 2021 ChemKnits Dialogue live stream. Every month, around the 15th, I pick a new inspiration photo and then plan a live stream to dye some yarn inspired by that photo. I also invite all of you to dye some yarn along with me at home over the next few weeks. And then in mid-October, I will share a recap of the yarn I dyed in this video, or in this stream, plus some of the yarn that you dyed as well. If you would like to be featured in that recap and maybe have me share a picture of your yarn in the video, share the yarn that you dye inspired by this beautiful photo on Instagram using that hashtag ChemKnitsDialogue, or look for the inspiration photo, which isn't currently pinned on Facebook. It will be. I was logged into the wrong account, so I couldn't pin it. But I do have a link to the photo on my Facebook page down in the video description. And so you can just reply with a photo comment, and then I will feature as many as I can. Yes, I absolutely love purple. So this is a very, very Rebecca one today. Trying to think if I have any other announcements. Oh, I do. Okay, that can hide. That can hide. Here we go. As I try to move things around. All right, so everyone, Nitpicks and We Crochet are having, oh no. Shoot, I'm gonna just set that up all over again. Oh well. Nitpicks and We Crochet are having a sale. It goes through the 26th of September at midnight Pacific time. If you use the code EVERYTHING20, you can save 20% off your order at Nitpicks and We Crochet. And I'm gonna drop the We Crochet link into the chat as well. So this same coupon code works both at We Crochet and Nitpicks. They only, like a few times a year, do a coupon code this big, so it's a great chance to take advantage of buying some yarn. Tonight I will be dyeing Nitpicks Stroll and Hawthorne fingering weight yarn. Oh, I forgot to turn on my other light. Helped a tiny bit. I will be dyeing Stroll and Hawthorne, which are two of my favorite yarn lines, but I can also chat about more if you have questions about other Nitpicks yarn lines. I am a Nitpicks affiliate, which means I earn commissions if you make purchases through my link, but this is not sponsored or anything by Nitpicks. I am promoting this from my own choice, and I have been a customer for decades now. And so it is, I guess, my pleasure to be a stash enabler and share this deal. Because unlike some other sales, these coupon codes stack with prices that are marked on the website. So when I buy their yarn from Nitpicks, I usually buy these bulk 20 packs. And yeah, so this would give 20% off the discounted price of the 20 pack for Hawthorne. Unfortunately, Stroll, unless something changed, it was sold out. Yeah, Stroll is not currently available right now, and it may not come back. I think the estimated date for it to come back is the 30th, so it may not come back while the sale is still on, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is a very good deal. And if you're watching the replay and you want to check out, head over there through one of my affiliate links. My links are also in the description of this video. Now, one, I guess, tiny difference between Nitpicks and We Crochet. Nitpicks has free shipping over $65, and crochet.com has free shipping over $35. And it's the same yarn. There are a few differences with some accessories, but they offer the same yarn. And as for non-yarn related tools and equipment that I'm using in this video, I do have some Amazon affiliate links and links to other sites clearly marked down in the video description. And I also have some non-affiliate links and stuff as well. So that is a huge, huge thing going on right now. The biggest discount I have seen from Nitpicks in the last 5 years, probably the last 5 years, is 25% off on Black Friday. That is usually the biggest discount that there ever is, but yeah, I would say 4 times a year we get a 20% off coupon or so. Swish is a very great yarn too. I use mostly Swish DK. The Swish fingering is not as much of a favorite of mine. It's not bad or anything. It's just not, it's still soft. I just like Stroll better. Felici is another good 75-25 stock yarn that Nitpicks offers. So anyway, that's why I have both affiliate links in there. And then the other thing I wanted to share before I talk about the colors today is that the ChemKnits Hanukkah special is coming up. Hanukkah starts the Sunday after Thanksgiving, so at the end of November this year. And for Hanukkah, every night I will release a new yarn dyeing video. And if you have one of the samplers, then you get a wrapped package to open up each night as you're watching the video. And it is so much fun. Each of the samplers have 100 grams of yarn total, so there'll be 8 minis for the 8 nights, and then there's going to be a 9th bonus video, which is, I'm very excited about that video this year. And then there's some other bonus videos and probably a vlog at the end as well. So it's a whole event. It's a lot of fun with nightly content, and which the content is available for everyone. But if you have not pre-ordered your sampler now, these will ship at the very end of October or early November. I will have a link to this in the video description, and I'm going to drop it in the chat momentarily. I think it might be pinned in the chat. Okay, so those are my big announcements and promos. the big things that I wanted to share that you don't want to miss on. And so, yeah, let's take a look at this lightning. I really was drawn to the stormy purples. I feel like that there's some like blurple and purple, and then there are these pinks in there along with a very stormy gray. I forget what city this was, ocean down on the bottom. And then, of course, there is the striking lightning strike in the image. Sandy, you have no idea about the yarn means like DK and fingering? Oh, the Hanukkah samplers come in either fingering weight, so a sock weight, or DK. And all of the yarn for Hanukkah is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And there should be yardage numbers in the description. So let me see. If not, then okay, yes. So the fingering weight is 463 yards per 100 grams, and the DK is 245 yards per 100 grams. So, if that helps. And Jessica, it is extremely hard to keep it a secret. It is extremely hard to not share spoilers and to keep everything hidden. But yes, DK and fingering are the thickness of the yarn. There's, oh, a little bit of a green flash, you mean in the picture? I was like, all right, but when it comes to our lightning today, I have been debating back and forth about whether I wanted to focus on the deep, moody, stormy colors of the picture, or if I wanted to try to have some bright white in there as well. And I'm torn, and I know people, but I also think people might get pretty mad if I don't do resists. So I'm going to set up a poll. I don't think I've ever done this before, and I tried pre-doing it, but so should I dye with resist dyeing? Yes. No. Only if you feel like it. Okay. I've never tried doing a poll before. I have no idea if that, aha, I see it. Okay, so there is now a poll, and I have no idea how I see the results. I've never tried doing a poll in chat before. I didn't even know this was something I could do, and this would have come in handy some other times. But if you're curious, resist dyeing is when you apply something onto the yarn. So say you tie some yarn, or often I use zip ties to add a really tight hold, which means that it would be really, really hard for the dye to penetrate to the yarn there. So if we took a yarn with a really tight resist on it and dipped it into black, there would potentially still be some white left behind, which is really, really fun and cool. And for some dye-alongs with some examples of this technique, I would look at the Aurora Borealis colorway. I did once. I feel like that there's, did I do that? There may have been like a rainy night with some bokeh. That one I probably did resist dyeing. I've done a fair amount. But typically when I do resist dyeing of some kind, I have a color underneath it. And yeah, and so therefore I'm not sure how I feel about having that in here. But I also knew that if I didn't have a flash of lightning in a colorway, if I focused on the other colors of the pictures, people might be upset with me. The image on the right. Yeah, so I see Judy just said, you wonder the same thing when you saw the inspiration photo. How literal do we want to be about the lightning? And so I have a feeling that there will be a mixture of different colorways. And so if you wanted to do the lightning without resist, you could do some really cool, like speckled kind of effects, but it's still, the white isn't a dominant color. And so it's hard to do. And I did consider the yarn with white neps, but unfortunately, they end up being a little bit more pastel and muted. And so it doesn't quite give that flash of brightness that I think is what we kind of want here. Yeah, so let me see, I've got some minis here. Okay, so there's a few different ways that you could do resist dyeing. And one of them is if on your yarn, you tie a knot and say, I would do this with a zip tie, and I tie a really, really tight knot on it. And that is going to provide a resist. Think about when you tie-dye t-shirts and you add rubber bands onto it, and sometimes you get white lines based on where the rubber bands are. That's because that tightness provided by the rubber bands is adding a resist onto your yarn. Hello! Just a tantruming 5-year-old. Oh dear. Yeah, someone is in a mood, and I gave him some really good snuggles, and now he's snuggling with Daddy. Because of course when a child tantrums and throws themselves on the ground, they want me. And so I was like, uh-oh. All right, let's see. Hello. Oh, red velvet cake for dinner sounds great. Think about what you want the fabric to look like, then match a technique to it that'll give you a similar result. Fun things happen. Yes. And so here's my dilemma. I wouldn't mind there being some random white patches, but I don't want them to pool. And I don't want a lot of them. I kind of just want like one spot. And so that's the thing that's sort of messing with my brain a little bit here, is that I would prefer it to not pool, but it's probably gonna pool. And so that's what I have to figure out. So I have tried using a glue resist on yarn before, and it did technically work. It technically worked. It was just difficult to deal with. And so only really worth, it's a labor of love to do something like that. But let's see. Okay, I can end poll. All right, so the poll results, and I don't know if I can show it on screen anyway. The poll results seem to be 60% yes, 3% no, and 37% only if you feel like it. Okay, I love that. Oh, did it just show the results in the chat? That is awesome. Okay, that's pretty fun. I am excited to try to do more polls in the future. A sock, you're right. I did, as I was coming downstairs, I was like, man, if I thought about it more and did something with guar gum and had a sock blank, then I could do something incredible to get this to do what I want it to do. And so, yeah, but unfortunately I'm not that prepared. But so let's take a look at what I have prepared for tonight. You can go there, and I can go more down here. So I have pulled a bunch of grays. I have 4 grays in the Dharma Acid Dye collection. Silver gray, platinum, twilight gray, which is very purple on its own, and then the new tornado gray. And I've never played with this one before. So I think that one of the first things we'll do is we'll sort of, on whatever yarn we set up, we're going to take a look at all 4 of those colors just to compare them to one another, and then decide which ones I want to keep using. Your resist dyeing roving, oh, that's awesome. You know, you're right. Pooling wouldn't be a bad idea for it to look very like lightning-y on a project. I just like, Yeah, I have to wrap my brain around it. I have a feeling that I would enjoy, you know, this could be a circumstance where if I were to reskein the yarn, then I would like it a lot more. And so maybe that is something that I should do, is actually reskein the yarn at the end, because then it would feel more intentional and less like a mistake. But I think I'm considering doing resist. So I think I'm going to dye 4 in the pan at first, 4 skeins of hawthorn. And I think I'm going to add a resist on 2 and do 2 with no resist. And so then we can compare, and at the end in the live stream recap, we can vote on which people prefer. So, nope. Yes, here we go. All right, and I pulled these specific colors because they seemed to fit in pretty nicely with the image. And of course, I cannot see the monitor when I'm over here, so I need to make sure. Yes, I can see my hand. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Antique Mauve I only pulled because maybe I'd want it. Intense Iris is bluer than Electric Violet, which is more purple. I think Electric Violet is going to be the one I'm more likely to use. But if I bring in some more of the Antique Mauve and I want something more blue, then that's why I have the Intense Iris. Twilight Gray is quite purple. But sometimes it also can feel very like blued steel almost. It's very purple. Platinum, I believe, is more blue. Silver Gray is sort of like that perfect neutral true gray. And Tornado, I don't know what Tornado's like. But actually, this is making me want to try something. Real quick. Okay, so they have this color picker. So Silver Gray, Platinum, Tornado Gray, and where is Twilight? Yeah, so sometimes Twilight Gray does look that blue to me, but it also breaks into like teal and purple, which is really, really fun. So Platinum maybe can be fairly blue, but this is the Silver Gray. So the Tornado Gray maybe will be a little bit blue. It seems to be not quite as blue as Twilight, but it is a little bit more blue than that Silver Gray. And so these are the, quote, swatches of those 4 different grays. But you'll see when I do a crude swatch with dry powder how different they actually look from one another. And the lilac was pretty like a very pink purple when I swatched all of the purples a while ago. There was a Dye Pot PS video. So let's prepare the yarn. midnight in the UK. Woohoo! Platinum, I think, does break. I think it does. There we go. Okay. I figured it was worth checking that out. But okay, we are going to do something with the 4 grays. And so, eventually, and that is not on camera at all. Okay, that's a little bit on camera. Let's start with the hawthorn. Okay, I have pre-soaked all of our yarn for a couple of hours. It's pre-soaked for a couple of hours just at room temperature, and I want to prepare resist. And I'm going to do this by having 2 skeins of yarn together, and I'll explain more about why in a moment. But hopefully that is on camera right there. Yes, ish. Okay. So I use these reusable nylon zip ties as markers, not markers, as ties to help keep the skeins ordered while I am dyeing. But you can see this is so loose that this should not influence. And yes, please hit subscribe and hit the like button. This shouldn't affect the color at all. But if I apply something very, very tightly onto these skeins, then the dye won't be able to get into the center. And I'm going to do 2 together, and I'm going to potentially do it in 2 spots, I think. So here, I'm going to come and put this zip tie around the strands, and I'm making it as tight as I can on here. And this can actually be pretty hard to remove, but yeah, it is sort of the way that I want to do it. And then I think over here, I'm going to do a second one. And just pull that really, really tightly. And so now ooh, I need to think about yarn mop. And so then as for how I'm going to arrange these skeins, let's see. I want to do it, there we go. These 2 in a way so that the resist areas are like between it, and then I can have this sort of in here. So these are our 2 resist points, and then I'm also going to have 2 skeins in here that have no resist at all. And I am going to go put this on this stove. I know that the back half isn't on camera, but I will show this in a moment and swap cameras. Oh no. There we go. One downside of those zip ties is that dye can sneak through the connection point. Yes, it can a little bit, but what I like about them, oh yes, you mean the dye slips through right there? Yes, there is a little hole where we'll get potentially a little spot of dye, but what I like about using these zip ties is that it's fast to put on, it's fast to take off, and they give a larger spot, and so it's more likely that you can have a stitch that is white from it. Oh, great. Okay, so now we need to add some water to our dye bath. And I'm coming in with 8 cups of water plus 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And I added the vinegar in while I was at the sink. So that way it could be nice and well distributed. I will pop gloves on shortly. And so this is now ready to go. You pulled Intense Iris and Lilac. Wondering about Gunmetal. Gunmetal could be a really good choice. Definitely. Oh, I should add, I not have it on here yet. I should add the image. image. I want the existing September. Put you down there. Yeah, the lilac is probably going to be a really nice choice. All right, I'm going to now turn on the heat. And I want to get a yarn mop prepped. So I need to think a moment. Okay, if anyone is curious what I mean when I say a yarn mop, I am talking about a skein of yarn that I just put into some acid that I'm literally going to use to mop up extra dye, whether it is from my fingertips or the counter. This creates some beautiful and fun colorways on its own. Okay, and I see movement on the surface. It's like always checking to make sure the camera didn't freeze. I was watching you use an awesome clean spray to get the dye off your hands. Oh, good. I'm glad you found something that worked. The way you'd see yourself doing it is three dip dyes. One time with the pinkish color, one time with violet, and one time with some navy without resist. That's a beautiful way to do it. Beautiful. A sparkle yarn might be a good choice too. Yes, I actually thought about using a lurex based yarn because the silver lurex shows up so well against dark colors. But I think that I was afraid that it would be too much, so I started overthinking it. Okay, we are heating up and I just put on my rubber respirator. Let me just show you quickly what it looks like. Hello. So I've got my deluxe rubber respirator, safety glasses, and I'm going to put on gloves. This is the safety equipment I wear whenever I am dealing with dry dye powder. And I'm realizing I'm far from the mic, so this is probably very quiet. Midnight blue could be nice too. All right. Okay, got that. I need a spoon. To reduce the heat to low. And let's start with Tornado. Let's start with the stormy color we have never tried before and see what it does. So what I'm doing is just sprinkling this color across the yarn. Ooh. So on the yarn mop, that is just very, very gray. I mean, it does feel, it is a bluish gray. For sure, there is like a bluish element to it. Oh my goodness. Okay, but over here on the yarn mop, it is looking very, very gray to me. So that is really, really cool. Okay, I always want to make sure that there's no dye left on my fingers when I go into a new dye jar. Okay, I want to go above it. The one thing I'll say about Tornado, very pigmented. Okay, so next up is Platinum, which is a lot more of a pre-mixed pastel. So it is not going to be, oh my gosh, anywhere near as pigmented. It is also, it breaks. It's got a little bit of purple in there, a bit of blue. Let me come in with more of it because that's not enough. That's not enough. I want to pump it up. Okay. So it's also very grayish and it's got purple and blue undertones. Okay, next up we are going to do silver gray, which I think I need to order more of. Now, for me, silver gray gives black speckles. It is a very, very nice color. And I don't know if I've used it side by side with some of these others before. I think it's going to feel warmer than, yeah, I mean, it's never felt like purpley to me, but compared to those blues, it is it's warmer. Is that the right word? Color people, you would know a little better than me. And then finally, we're going to come in with some twilight gray, which breaks and can be quite purpley. Oh my gosh, my fingers are like, I'll show you in a minute after I like move this color through a little bit. Oh, but you can't really see. But the twilight breaks and brings in like pinks and purples. It is very, very perfect for this colorway tonight. But it definitely breaks. And we're going to get more random with the color placement as we go on, but I did want to start, I'll move you so I can wash up. But I definitely wanted to start with something and see what these grays look like. But actually here on the yarn mop, you could see that purple from our twilight. Huh. All right. I'm going to, where am I going to put the inspiration photo? Maybe super tiny in the top corner. Hopefully, did it freeze? Nope, I did not use any gunmetal. The first gray I used was Tornado. I did not use any gunmetal. So the four colors that I used in here are Platinum, Tornado Gray, Silver Gray, and Twilight Gray. So yeah, Platinum, if I just spoke, Platinum, Tornado, Silver, and Twilight. No, gunmetal, and I believe gunmetal is a jacquard color, but I've also had that break brown, which is unfortunate. And I am taking pictures to include in the recap, which, yeah, it's amazing. There's some gorgeous, and I don't think the camera's picking it up. You can see some of the reds up there in the platinum. Tornado is like awesome for this. Silver gray is probably not quite right, but I think that the tornado and the twilight are two colors I want to use. Has the camera frozen? Tornado is Dharma. And let me see. I know what I'm going to do. The camera froze. One of these days. Oh no. Tornado is a new color for Dharma. I found it on their website. Here is the jar. The color number is 490 Tornado Gray. And so yeah, if we compare the colors that we see just now with the 4 colors that we saw when browsing the website, and here we had twilight, tornado, silver, and platinum. Those are the ones we had here. And then if we sort of look at those 4 as what they say the colors, and then look to what we see over here. And my webcams aren't good about picking up reds. So right here doesn't actually look as off, but in person, there's a lot more red that you see when you're swatching with a dry powder like this. And so it's just one reason why, especially if you want to play with the dry powders, which I love because it gives these edges, it makes me think of the clouds. Yeah, it's just something that's fun to play with. Normally, if I was going to swatch colors and I wasn't sure how it would end up, I wouldn't do it on the skeins. I was dying, but I'm doing that today because we're going to be blending a lot of colors on here, and so I figured it would be fine. They're all ultimately grayish. Well, let me see. Tornado is very, very pretty. Hello. Is breaking, the breaking is visible now on the bottom right corner? Yes, down there it is. Especially since I have moved the other thing. And oh, it can be hard if I'm on the other side of the kitchen or I'm in the respirator mask. It can be hard to hear. So no need to apologize for asking questions. That is what we're here for, and that's why I'm doing this live. Okay. We've got Stormy. I'm now going to pop my respirator mask back on, and we are going to increase the clouds. Haha. And I did the spoon trick again to make sure that the camera was working. So it can be hard sometimes because the audio is still working, but I do have an iPad over here by the stove so that way I can see the chat. So if the audio goes away or the camera freezes, please let me know. But now we will have some fun. Well, I mean, I was having fun before. Not that I wasn't having any fun. But let's come in over here. Let's just test out the lilac.
which is so much pinker than the paint swatch would suggest. But, oh, actually, this is so perfect. Oh, it is so perfect for that little bit. And, I mean, maybe when I flip, I'll get more random with the color placement. But, oh, that is so good. I guess I'm going to come in and bring some more lilac, because we can always layer over it. And I'm okay with there being some speckles that I don't pop through, that I don't spread out as well. Okay, so what? I said I wanted Twilight Tornado. Because we're going to be spreading the other colors. I don't want things to like pool exactly. I want a little bit more randomness. Okay, but we're definitely getting some speckles, and we will be flipping the yarn and layering and adding more color. Oh, but now one of my favorite colors in the entire collections, and that is Electric Violet. This is one of my absolute ride or die favorite colors. And I suppose I should check on this before I go much further, but why not just... If it's too purple, then I should swap to some intense iris. But unfortunately, one of the pigments in this color is now more expensive than it used to be. And so, therefore, oh, I love this color. It may also, it might be a little bit too purple. It's more expensive than it used to be. And, okay, I'm going to bring out the intense iris. I think I want it to be more blue. It's more expensive than it used to be, yeah. I think it's now like almost $10 for 2 ounces. But it does get cheaper the more you have. Intense iris is another. So irises are my favorite flowers. And the nice thing is that if in some areas I'm like, oh, this is too purple, oh, I want to tone it down, then we can layer on more tornado or intense iris onto here. And so I'm going in very, very clean lines right now. That's not the way I'm going to do it the whole time. I will eventually go more random and more diagonal as we go. And our yarn mop is getting covered in dye already. Okay, let's come in. Yeah, I'm gonna need more, but there's no reason actually why I need to do too much right away. But you can see we've got a lot of white in there. So we will add more liquid at some point. We will add more color, but I'm now going to come in with a lot more of our color. Whoops, that was a lot down there. I just came in and I was like, zoop. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. I don't like these taller jars as much, unfortunately. It's harder to get the fingers in. Okay. But the nice thing is that the more we add colors in, the more things will blend. And the more things blend, the closer this will get to that background. And so it's okay for there to be some lighter patches. It's okay for there to be some deeper patches. So I am not worried at all, but I added so much dye down there. Then I'm coming and taking some of it and moving it to other areas. Because yeah, and I think down here, yeah, we actually might get some better color penetration down there. It is not yet that warm. There's a fair amount of color all over. I think I'm going to want to increase the water volume, and I might do that now. Oh, let me see. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like it. It might be, I might have to change what the camera's doing so it can still show up well, but I'm really, really enjoying this. Okay, I'm coming in with 4 cups of water that had 3 tablespoons of white vinegar in it. And this may cause some of this color to spread out a little bit more. You can see I am shimmying this to help some of that color move down, but we've got a lot of white left in here. So there are going to be opportunities to add more and more color. We just need to be patient. And so that is what I'm going to try to do. Dry off my gloves best I can. Wash my hands. Okay, I am going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Whew. Take off the mask. And I'm going to set up a little steamer basket. Because I want to pop the yarn mop in briefly. Yarn mop. Because there's already a lot of pigment on it, and I want just some of those colors to stay put so I can continue to use it as a good mop. So the colors won't be completely set in this like brief period. That pot's not even hot yet, but it will help. It will absolutely help. And Dawn Jans, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, thank you. It does look like the camera froze. Because I can't tell if I see steam. I'm so glad you're liking this. The color palette is so much fun. Ooh, it looks just like the photo on camera. That is awesome. There we go. And now I can be over here and we can keep an eye on it. Always looking for a little bit, but yeah, Dawn, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, thank you.
You never thought to do the scoping and moving of the dye. It's a great idea for tweaking color placement. Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, these are all things that sort of like I figured out the more I play with it. You see movement in the lower left corner? Okay. Well, I actually have no idea. Oh, yes, because I just reset the camera before I changed to the forward facing one. So now you can see it. And thank you. I am really excited. And I don't have in this view, image. I really need to get my eyes checked. There we go. That is just working so well. So well. Let's see. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy with it. So what was I going to say? I do have, hello camera, I'm back. There we go. I do have there's 4 skeins of Nitpicks Hawthorne in here, which is 80% Peruvian Highland wool, 20%, it's 80% superwash fine Highland wool, 20% polyamide, which is like a nylon. And it is a really fun yarn. And 2 of the 4 skeins in the pan have some zip ties around the middle as a resist to give us like a pop of lightning. And one thing I realized, and one reason why I'm doing with the lightning and without, is that in theory, you could take 2 skeins, one with, one without, and sort of blend it together to help space out the white specks more. So, is this an even more Rebecca colorway than the blue, pink, purple hydrangeas? I mean, maybe. I kind of want to do the hydrangeas again to do oxidized, because I think I just did broken violet that time. But yes, pretty much. Pretty much. Oh man, I am so excited. I really, really love where this is headed, and it's a lot of fun. And so I will, again, definitely to the picture I took of the 4 Dharma gray acid dyes, I will take those pictures and I will label them and have that in the recap. Because I think that the crude swatching I do is really only valuable if you like to play with dry powders and using your dry powders directly on yarn. And doing this kind of technique to like sprinkle the dye onto the yarn and then move it around is such a fun way. It's one of my favorite ways to dye yarn. It's one of my favorite ways to apply it. But there are some risks. You're dealing with a dry powder, but the bigger risk is that sometimes the color that you get when you're using just the dry powder is very, very different from the color you would get at a 1% stock solution, which is closer to the color that you might see on the lid, the swatch colors that Dharma provides. So that is something that's a reason why I do these really crude swatches. I think it's a lot easier to find examples of yarn dyed at a 1% depth of shade. I know Nicole Frost has, I don't know if she has any in her shop at the moment, but she'll do color cards. I have some of her color cards that have all the different colors at a 1% depth of shade, which is super, super valuable. But a lot more valuable if you're going to be using the dyes in liquid form versus doing some kind of powder technique. And the clouds on this photo really make me think of using the powder technique. And so it's just something that is super duper fun. And so let me see. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Just checking. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Oh man. What was I doing today? I filmed So for Hanukkah, I do two types of conclusions. A lot of times at the end of my videos, I end the video with my like photography mat where I have the yarn laid out on it. But for Hanukkah, I do that, but then I film like a full conclusion in my studio, which isn't really like a filming studio. It's like my yarn. It's a glorified huge closet. It's pretty cramped, but I film the talking heads in there. You can tell a lot of times I don't bother to go up there and try to set up all the lights, and so then I'll just film like standing up here in front of the stairs. But yeah, and then I save the talking heads for Hanukkah until I am editing. So I will edit the video and have like different like chapters for where I'll put the timestamps for YouTube. But then I will do the full introduction and conclusion once I've edited the middle portion of the video, because that way, if there's anything I forgot to share about the project, I can go ahead and do that there. And so that is something that is pretty fun. So I was doing the finished dry yarn conclusions for nights 6 and 3 of Hanukkah. And then I may or may not do the conclusion for night 4 tomorrow. I am going to be filming conclusions tomorrow for this month's Dye.ps. And the conclusions for my review of the Paradise Fibers acid dye collection, which will either be out on Tuesday or probably the following Tuesday, because that's, let's see when I get the editing done. But yeah, so that's what I was, oh, and I filmed an episode of Dye today as well. I call it the technique speckle and smush. Oh, that's a nice way to put it. You know, it's hard sometimes when you want to get something to look at. It might be here. I'll just turn off my face for a minute. Okay, you can walk over me. Oh no! Oh, come on. Oh, no, you can come over my lap. Love you. Hey. Hi. Oh man. All right. Am I on the wrong? I think I'm on the countertop. Oh, and I didn't even make tennis ball. Yes, this camera over here, her name is Tennis Ball because she has a tennis ball sticker on it. And there is a hint of some color left, but in this time with the amount of acid, most of the color has absorbed. So we can go ahead and flip. But also, I can come over and take the yarn mop out of its little basket, which is like barely warm yet. Wow, that like barely got any heat to it. Let's see, I'm gonna test with a paper towel. Maybe I'll put this back in the steamer basket for a bit longer. I was like, wait a minute, why isn't it warm? I mean, it's just starting to get warm. Oh dear. Okay. Oh, I can throw these ones away. All right. I'm going to put on my gloves. I'm going to reduce this heat to low. I want to get the monitor back so I can see. I am doing an over dye technique on blue face luster fiber
we got from the April Paradise Fibers box. Ooh. I can't tell the difference. Like, I can't remember which one was April. What was the theme of that box? I used to be able to keep track of what month had what kind of colorway, and now I just can't. I feel like the pandemic made my brain not work as well. Which, to be fair, it's not that my brain worked super well before that. So these two skeins have some resist on it, and these ones don't. So I think that I'm going to want more gray. But actually, what I might do is start with the lilac and then do some grays. So I'm going to put my mask and stuff back on. Your friend would probably love that yarn. She loves purple. And then she's in good company. Okay, let's see. All right, now the Yarn Up yarn is warm. Which, there's still going to be some color in it that, isn't set or anything, but some of it may have started. All right. Mask back on. Uh-oh. Darn it! Oh, man! None of that showed up, did it? Oh, chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Please let me know if you think it froze. It is fixed now, but oh, goodness. Goodness me. I don't know what it is that causes the audio to freeze. If anyone knows of a good camera for demonstrations like this, please, please, please let me know. Okay. I really don't want a lot of this color, but I can bring more in if I feel a need to warm up any of the other purples. But now with more liquid, I can move these colors deeper. Okay. Next up, some twilight gray. And not everything needs to be perfectly spaced. Okay. Not everything needs to be perfectly spaced. See, now with the acid, the twilight is reading more of the blue, feeling a little less of the purple, but we'll see what it does while it breaks. I just remember on Wool of the Andes, twilight gray breaks so beautifully. But then on oh goodness, what was it? What was the color? Or just on Stroll or Platinum or something, it just didn't in the same kind of way at all. So I did a smaller patch. I can't tell if this color breaks. That just isn't something that I can really determine at this point. I'm going to need to do some trial and error of this color on its own sometime. I am very much focusing. We're going to do a little bit of electric violet. I know I said that it was a little bit too purple, not too purple. It was a little bit too pink. So therefore, it's really great for some of these areas that feel a little bit less pigmented. Just pull it in. But I need to check like electric violet next to like royal purple again to see how those compare. Those are both pretty awesome colors. The question is, I don't know everywhere where I put this color. You can tell I'm really thinking and focusing when I go silent. It doesn't happen that often. Okay, and now I always try to make sure my fingers are completely dry before I go into my dye containers. Man, this is one that, oh, it's because the jar is so deep. I'm like, I am getting it all over my hand. But I do really like the color. Oof. But yeah, I'm making a bit of a mess on my hands. And I have a feeling we're still going to have lighter patches of color to contend with. Okay, but I do want to give this a good 10 minutes. And meanwhile, I'll pull out the yarn mop when she comes back out. Let's see. I'm gonna wash my hands. I did flip the skeins. Unfortunately, that happened on camera, but the camera didn't show up. So that is unfortunate. Okay, and in general, I try to reuse my gloves as much as possible. So I will wash them off and reuse them over and over and over again. And just like on the top edge of the pan, that's all of the dye there was. I try to reuse the gloves as much as possible, but sometimes like they just get so sweaty that I need to replace them. And the ones that I was just using, I had used for multiple different videos already. But yes, unfortunately, the actual flip, the camera was working and then it stopped. For me is that the iPad that I am watching the stream on is about a minute before what's real. So I think it froze at just the wrong time. And in fact, interesting, I think that I mean, right now, oh, I didn't set the timer yet. There it is. It could be the steam. Oh my gosh. There. It could be the steam that makes the camera like flip off. And because the audio is still working. So, excuse me, it could just think something's wrong and then stop working. So I'm not really sure. But it makes me more hesitant to put the good, oh, am I still in tennis ball audio? I am. That's the audio I want. That's the one that's closer. That's the one I want when I'm sitting down. Yeah, so the audio on that camera still works, but yeah, I'm not sure what it is. So the newer camera, which is on the countertop, I'm like afraid that audio is better, so I like it centrally located. So yeah, but let me see. I'm gonna read the chat on, I love this kid iPad thing. So you think it was the April showers bring me flowers that had the poof ball and the BFL was a gray color. They call it Downy Cloud or something like that. Oh, cool. That's perfect for this. Yes, you could hear me talking but didn't see me flipping the yarn. Yeah, when I discovered it because when I checked on the monitor, I was like, that's still all purple. You can't see the white patches. Thankfully, I noticed before I started dyeing more, but yeah, it is unfortunate. Yeah, that one camera sometimes can, I think it's freezing a little bit more frequently. It also, though, could be like a power thing because I have 3 cameras set up right now. So maybe if I can find another way, like a USB thing that's powered to plug them into, maybe that could also help. So yeah, there could be many different factors. So you're wondering if I've ever made a little replica of the picture on the yarn in the pan and how it would turn out. That is a great question. There are a few times that I've done a more literal type replica. One of them, there was a graffiti one, and so I did a lot of hearts in different colors layered on top. That's actually one of my favorites. And so that was, the graffiti was all these hearts on a wall, and so I replicated that in the pan. Another one is when I did cherry blossoms from the cherry tree in my yard. I used guar gum and I painted cherry blossoms and branches on a sock blank. And that's what I did for that one. So that's the time I really went literal and showed off painting. So it depends. I try to mix up the techniques I do in the live streams. Chantal, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. You finished dyeing a braid of purple with grape Kool-Aid. Awesome. Grape Kool-Aid is a great, like, stormy purple gray. So it's a really fun one for something like this. Do I normally use the steam pan over heat? It depends. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do layers of stuff cold, like on the counter, and then move it to the stove after. It depends on my mood, really. That's where it comes down to. What is the resist used? A nylon zip tie.
Let me see if I have, let's see if I have any pictures. I mean, kind of. I wonder, can I like, if this works, this would be awesome. No, it worked. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so here in this picture, I wasn't doing a resist quite like I'm doing right now, but the I put the zip ties around to help mark where I wanted the dark color to stop. And I'm doing something similar, but a lot tighter, to have zip ties around the yarn like that. But that was awesome that that worked. Oh, no, the camera's overheat? Yes, this one is usually the one over the stove. So I frequently have the camera over the heat. Aha! Here is a better picture. Maybe. Okay, so here's a spot where I had 5 resist points all in a row. Here is a picture of what the yarn looked up all tie-dyed up. And then here is kind of what these resist points look like after I removed the, this is what it looks like after I removed the zip ties. And you can see how you get some really small patches of color, some larger patches of color, depending on if that part was in towards the center or towards the outside of where the zip tie is located. And so that is the kind of effect I'm doing on some of the yarn here today. But I have to say, I am so excited I can drag and drop an image into here versus having to like go and sort through the file, and mwah, I am so happy about that. Because now I have access to all of my like editing things. But is that one of the last? That is likely one of the most recent, excuse me, resist type things that I've done. At least that is in this collection of screen grabs. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I mean, I guess this started, oh man. Oh my gosh. I was trying to see if there was any other blast from the past I wanted to pull up, but these don't go back that far. Trying to see if I had the, yeah, I don't think I had the cherry blossoms in here. The yarn is turning out beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I believe that it's probably the heat and the damp from the steam that causes it to freeze. Like, it is currently frozen right now. I can tell. Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that I don't see it when I'm over at the stove. And since I am the only one over here, see, it's working now. Since I am the only one over here, okay, I'm gonna turn off that steamer basket and just let that sit. Since I'm the one running the tech and doing the other stuff, as this camera loves to take its time to focus. But yeah, since I'm doing all of that, that can make it a bit harder. I think that if I had more space, so I could have the camera more at an angle versus being really close to where the steam is, then that would be great. But the tripod the stove camera is on is a counter about like this wide, and so there's like just enough space for the tripod to fit on it. So there's not space for me to back the camera up more to then get a direct view. And if otherwise, then I would have to put it on the floor and have it sort of tilted at an angle. And well, the tripod would be where I stand normally, so that would be hard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So when it comes to webcams, I have struggled to find one that feels appropriate for a demonstration. Like there's a lot of different webcams that are recommend. There's the timer, and I see the steam going right now. I struggle to find a camera that is sort of indicated for this level of closeness versus being more appropriate for like a body facing, face facing kind of thing. And a lot of people who do streaming are people like gamers who can have like who stay in one place. So their needs for cameras are a bit different from my needs. See, I don't know if GoPros are good for streaming though. So that's what I don't know. But I also have to say that I mean, it's something that like I spent a long time trying to figure out. And so I ended up with the one that's on the countertop now, which I love, but I'm afraid to use near the stove. And then I have that countertop one, and then I have the new face one, which I don't know why the focus of it is, the autofocus is like kind of annoying. So yeah, let's see. Got to flip and open up these, which is slightly more challenging. The good news is that some pastel areas left behind aren't entirely unwelcome. I do want to try to not like flip the yarn around the zip ties itself. I have to think what colors I want. I think maybe a little bit more of the pink and some more tornado, and then we'll see from there. So yeah, I've struggled to find a camera that would be happy, but yeah, I really like, I can maybe push this camera back 6 inches and that is about it, which makes me sad. Oh boyo.
Hiya, Mommy.
Hiya. Go to bed.
Say hi.
No, you can't come say hi tonight. Okay?
Can you say hi from up here?
Well, you're already doing that, but why don't you go to bed, please?
Okay.
Love you.
Lucas from ChemKnits says hi.
I don't know if y'all heard that,
Everyone from ChemKnits says hi.
but the boys just said Lucas from ChemKnits says hi and Ryder from ChemKnits says hi. Okay. Here is the yarn mop, which is looking nice and fancy. We've got all of these colors that are in our yarn, but a bit more muted. And it froze. No, it didn't. It didn't freeze. It just looked like it froze. But yeah, the yarn mop, pretty. Okay, let me get my mask and stuff back on. So let's see. When you ordered dye the other day, I had every color you're using in your cart except for Twilight because it's back ordered. I removed all of them except for the platinum. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Yes, they should be asleep.
I should be asleep. I often go to bed about now. Oh dear. So I know that this more pink color is less present in the photograph, but because of the way that these colors are layering together, I want more because it'll keep things from getting too blue, if that makes some sense. But the only thing that's hard is it is a little difficult for me to tell where I've added. Uh-oh. Okay, I see steam. It's again a problem with, ideally I'd have a monitor that I could move around and see that is up to date with exactly what I'm doing. But since it's about a minute behind, that makes things more challenging. Okay, so twilight gray. Or no, tornado. This is our new tornado-y friend. Up here, I don't mind. It's a bit speckly. This tornado color, ooh, woo. It is delicious. Okay. And since we've got this like stormy sky, I have to be careful around the resist. I don't want to add like too much there. Like the nice thing is that some light patches are perfect. So that is good. But see how those brighter pinks are sort of disappearing a bit. And that is why I'm coming back over to my electric violet instead of, oh man, I really do need more of this color. Instead of the intense iris, because it's got a little bit more red in it. Okay. That isn't a ton of color this time, but not a ton. But I am going to pop the yarn mop back into the basket. I probably could. Ooh. Okay, I probably could pop. Shoot, what was I thinking? Oh, I probably could flip the yarn now. Oh no, it froze. Ah! Okay, yep, I'll be over there in a minute. Thank you. Gonna get the, hopefully the audio didn't freeze as well. Eek, gotta wash my hands. Like the double wash. Hello, yes. If the audio froze, it just takes me a minute. Okay, the audio is still working. Yes, it takes me a minute to come over. Yes, okay, it should be live now. Okay. Yes, it can be hard. It can be hard. Oh, let me change this.
Yeah, it took a moment for me to see, which thankfully I did see, but since I was in the process of taking off my mask anyway, I decided to do that. Since I knew that what was on screen, even frozen, was fairly accurate to what is really there. But, oh, that's not the camera. That's not what I wanted to move. Excuse me. But yeah, it is dark and stormy. And the colors always look darker when they are wet. So I believe more, it looks like there's not as much of the like purple and pink, but I think it is there and will be visible. The screen should no longer be frozen. So if you are watching live now, Helen, it is no longer frozen. I can see the steam on the live feed versus like what I see in real time. So it should be working now. I like the high ChemKnit time for bed. Mevo is good. Ooh, I'm gonna want to look that up now. Ooh, oh, that's expensive. But yeah, oh, cool. Wireless might be helpful. I'm gonna write that down to check out. Just added it to my notebook. I don't know why it keeps changing my default search engine, but that's a side story. It's all good. Oh, good. Yeah, it's definitely happening more tonight some days. It could be because of the amount of steam. It could be because of the number of cameras that I have on. Like if I were to, I'm using the countertop one as the microphone right now, but maybe if I didn't have that one, I considered only setting up 2 cameras. I used tennis ball the other day and it wasn't giving me as much trouble as it is now. But now is a good reminder or a good time for a little word from me. Time for a little self-promotion while we wait. So as I have mentioned already, the ChemKnits Hanukkah samplers are available for pre-order. This is a really, really fun series that has wrapped mini skeins for each night of Hanukkah, plus a few extra days that correspond to a new yarn dyeing video that will come out every night. The whole series is a gift. I consider it like a holiday gift from me to the whole community, and I am totally scrolled down on that page. This is why when I don't have enough space, oh my goodness. When I don't have enough space to see what's on the camera. Yeah, so every night there's a new sampler to unwrap that corresponds with the dyeing video. And so normally when I'm dyeing yarn, my batches are pretty small, and so only a handful of people can have that colorway and play with the colorway you watched me all make. But with Hanukkah, more people can get a little sample of the yarn, and then you can actually see what the finished yarn looks like in person from various different techniques. So I try to do 8 different colorways, 8 different techniques, and really show as much range as I can each year in the series. And it is so much fun. It's one of my favorite things to put together. So that link is in the description. I know a lot of you have already pre-ordered it, and so thank you so much. And the other things that I am talking about tonight is that I am a Nitpicks affiliate, which means that I do earn commission from sales made through my links, and they are having a huge sale right now, 20% off everything. I have not placed my own order for the sale yet because I haven't done that because I just placed an order that I unboxed the other day. But I'm always happy to answer questions, and I'm dropping that link in the chat for Nitpicks and for We Crochet, which is the sister company. It's the same, they have the same inventory, and it's the same coupon code, and this sale goes through the 26th of September, and that sale ends at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And so this is a coupon code off of prices as marked. There could be some exclusions, so I would, we can actually just check. So some things like spinning wheels and stuff are excluded. It applies to things that Nitpicks and We Crochet ship themselves. And so, yeah, it's a very fun sale and a good time to stock up. And again, I am under no obligation to share this stuff. It's just, since as a Nitpicks customer, I am always looking out for these deals, and so I know I will place some orders before the sale ends, and so I place, and so it's sort of like, I figure that it's nice to know since these coupon codes come infrequently enough. Yeah, so that is my little like PSAs of the night. You love Nitpicks. It's a lot of fun. Like some of the first wool bare yarn that I ever ordered, which actually, is there some in here? They have mini skeins now, so you can sample the bare yarn, but I don't know if they have like a palette in here. I don't think so. No, so Nitpicks palette was the first ever wool yarn from Nitpicks that I dyed. It's actually one of my favorites. It's not as pretty when I dye it up because it's so grippy. It's perfect for color work, but it clumps a little bit while not being felted, and so it's just not as pretty as the finished form, so I don't use it as much for videos unless I want some. And I am going to mute my phone because it keeps beeping. Oh, cool. Okay. Just seeing what it is. My friend's building a treehouse. So pictures. Someone said, oh, I bet I could get a smaller yarn weight to use as tapestry wool and dye it. Yeah, probably. Now, the thing I will say about the minis that Nitpicks offers is that I believe they are $1.50 each for 10 grams, which is a good price as a sample, so that way you can feel and do a test dye on the yarn. I forget if there's like 11 or however many different bases are available in those samples, but they're pricey enough that it's not really worth it for getting them to dye mini skeins like I do for like Hanukkah or something like that. So it's not quite worth it for that, but it is worth it as just minis to have and dye, and I set a timer, so I'll try to wait, I think 5 more minutes. Excuse me. But yeah, I was using Nitpicks yarn for all of my videos and like all over my website and stuff for a very long time, and then I discovered they had an affiliate program, and I was like, oh, I should have joined this many years ago. Oh, I was like, I've been promoting them all this time. So yeah, it's fun. What video goes with the yarn in the thumbnail picture? So in my so in that picture, okay, I'm gonna need to go look at it again. So I'll be right back. It may have been the food coloring nearly empty jars. Like a leave no dye behind when I use like all the nearly empty canisters of Wilton icing color. That would be my best guess for the yarn that I have there. But I was like, okay, I need to keep going and looking at the picture to try to figure it out. You almost ordered another full skein because I forgot I had ordered it on the first pass. So excited and happy to support you. Oh, thank you. I mean, I figure it's also like a win-win if you were waiting for a chance to place an order anyway, and it supports me at the same time. The only sad thing is that I don't get commissions on my own purchases. So I do buy all of the yarn that I unbox from there myself, unless I think one time I reached out, and when they started like a subscription box, which I have no idea if that's still going on or not, I asked for a sample and they sent me one. I think they have a lot of like those sample boxes are like kits, but I don't know if they still have a sample a subscription kind of thing anymore. I haven't paid attention. So you did the math, and the blanks are normally, you did the math, and the blanks that are normally $19.99 become something like 13-ish a blank if you order 20. Yeah, so I think that if you order in bulk, let's do 0.85 times 0.8 equals. Okay, so you get about a 32% discount if you order the bulk 20 packs. So when you order 20 from either Wheat Crochet or Nitpicks, if you order 20, a 20 pack, you can't just order 20. You need to go through this page, which you can find from yarn and then the Bare Yarn bulk discount down here. But this is already 15% off the retail price. And so then if you apply a 20% off coupon on top of that, you get a total of about a 32% discount. And so that can be a very, very good deal. Now, I did mention earlier that historically on Black Friday, they have a 25% off coupon. And some individual yarn lines, they might reduce to 40 or 60% off. And so I always, when the big sale comes around, I always talk about like, okay, for some of these, I might wait for a coupon if there's a Black Friday coupon. Other ones, like 40, 60% off, this is the best deal it's going to be. This is when I would buy it. And so I always talk about all that around them. But let's reset tennis ball. Gotta find it. And then I'll stand up in a second. I'm gonna see what else there is in the chat. Thanks for joining. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening. I love doing these dialogues. Okay, I am gonna stand back up though, as I hang out on the floor in what really is my hallway. I mean, it's my kitchen, but it's a hallway. Oh dear. Okay. And it's always the like double checking that I can see the steam. You know, I feel like the thing that's a little bit more of that pink wouldn't be bad to have, because I feel like I've covered it pretty well. So we are going to pick things up and see. This is so stormy. It's so good. Okay. Looking for areas that need more color. Da, da, da. But they don't have. Oh, I should not sing because I don't want anything to be claimed. Eek. Wait, what about you down there? Okay. Trying to, you know what I might do? This is what I think I'm going to do. Put on my mask. Oh, yarn mop. Come out of hiding. I will need you
I will need your assistance, Moppy. So I haven't flipped. Uh-oh. Oh, good. I'm like, did it freeze? Did it freeze? So as I was starting to say, I have not yet flipped the other two skeins, but I figured since 400 grams is pretty crowded, let's work on some of these areas first. Because as I flip the yarn, we might lose access to some of those areas. And the one thing I want to try to avoid doing, which hopefully, okay, I think I have managed to avoid, is to not, I don't want to accidentally pull the yarn out of the zip ties, because then we would lose that little resist that we have. So again, some light patches aren't unwelcome. Some light patches are perfectly reasonable players for this story that we have here. But I don't want like huge patches because I want the lightning to pop. So yeah, and that's why, well, when you do something with so much yarn, because I have 400 grams here, and the mop is going to go back in the steer basket. But because I have so much yarn here in the pan, that's why we're flipping it so many times. If I had less yarn in the pan, then I wouldn't need to flip nearly so frequently. I would be able to maybe just flip twice if I was only doing 200 grams of yarn or something. But what I like, and if it's frozen, that's okay. But what I like about flipping it so many times is that also breaks up the lines. It makes the color placement more random. So that is good. Figure. Give it a little reset. Hey, you work with what space you have. You hang your yarn off of a clothes hanger hung from the bottom of the light sconce in your stairwell. You have a string tied like a clothesline across your desk legs. Yeah, so I have a huge drying rack set up in like a jacuzzi tub thing that we don't use.
which I probably don't need to use that to dry the yarn anymore, because I could use, because since I have the spin dryer, the yarn isn't dripping when I hang it up. But yeah, I still have that to spread things out as much as I can so they dry quickly. And then actually I have another drying rack in another part of the house where, like, if I get things like in that like tub for a few days and then I move it somewhere else, then like, yeah, so I just have that little system for drying the yarn. But I love this colorway, and adding, oh my gosh, I just love, like, it feels like finger painting. It is so much fun. And I don't know if I turned on, I can't tell if I turned on the steamer basket or not, but that's okay if I didn't. I'll just get a little bit of warmth. Oh man, oh man. Where is, okay, well this is creepy. I was talking about stranded color work and I just got an email from Nitpicks about stranded color work. Ooh, that's pretty. Oh, pretty and just a little hilarious because of the timing of that. Yeah, but go ahead and ask, feel free to ask me any types of questions during these live streams. I try to answer what I can. I actually filmed, today's Thursday, so yesterday I filmed there was a video a couple weeks ago where I asked for some questions, and then I did on Instagram, I asked for questions. And so I filmed some responses, and I realized when I got downstairs, I was like, okay, I have over 1 hour, 31 minutes, and like 28 seconds of footage. Which, there's a lot of dead space where, like, I'm looking to find the question to read and stuff. There pause for the dog barking or whatever. But I was just like, it's still a long time to talk in front of the camera for me. Normally, it's not anywhere near that. So I'm not quite sure when that video will come out. But yeah, and it has like a wide random assortment of questions. And so it was really fun to film. Whispers, they're listening. Wait, who's listening? Oh, what's the best place to sell yarn? Etsy or somewhere else? This is a great question. So I think it depends on where you are with your dyeing career. Etsy is a pretty low risk place to start to sell. It costs the time to like set up the shop, but then it's 20 cents to list a listing. And yes, there are fees once someone buys something, but to go and just sort of test the waters, that's pretty low cost. Oh, when I got an ad for something I mentioned, yeah. I was like, ugh. Yes, that's the thing. So Etsy can be a great place for that. I am still on Etsy, even though I should move to my own site. I drive all my traffic to Etsy. Thank you, everyone, so much. Plug. Go to the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop and pre-order the Hanukkah sampler. But I drive my own traffic there through social media, through YouTube, and so therefore I'm not relying on their search. Now, a positive that Etsy has is there is brand recognition there. And so because people are familiar with it, there is an element of trust versus an independent website. So I think it is easy to get started on Etsy, but at some point, some volume of sales, it would be cheaper for you to move to, say, Shopify or something to set up your own site, and then you have more control over the layout, the way information is displayed, the types of variations you can have on listings, how many spots, like can you have one item in more than one category that people can look at in your shop and things like that. And so I very much would like to move to my own site. But what's keeping me from it are a few things. And asterisk, this does not constitute tax advice in any kind of way. But Etsy currently, there are certain states in the United States that require you to pay taxes or to collect sales tax for them. Etsy currently, all states that require that, for people that live out of the state, Etsy collects all that and pays that on my behalf. So I don't have to register in all those states, collect the taxes, and pay that, which is huge. And then also, which actually includes my state now, although my state does not tax yarn, so most of it doesn't have a problem, but Massachusetts now has those nexus laws. So Etsy does that for Massachusetts. Etsy does it for some international countries that require VAT to be collected or that want VAT collected in advance of the package coming into the country. And so that's all really, really convenient. And if selling yarn was the primary focus of my job, then I would probably move off of Etsy really quickly. But I consider my primary thing to be filming these YouTube videos, and so therefore that's where most of my focus is, and I don't want to take hours from my week to manage my own site, and so that's why I haven't left. So any tips on getting yarn not to bunch up around the ties? No. Once the yarn is dry, I like snap it. So I'll like take one of these minis. Which one are you? Swish worsted. So I will take the yarn and snap, rotate a little bit, snap, and then kind of keep doing that until the bunches sort of even out. Yeah. Is it more profitable to stay on Etsy since you don't drive your own traffic? Potentially, yeah. If you get if you get traffic from search results, you still, like, even without like YouTube and stuff, you still will need to spend some time on social media and stuff to try to drive traffic because what was I saying? Sorry, brain blip. So I think where, like, I think plans for Shopify maybe start at like $30 a month. So I think that where, like, it sort of comes down to, do you have a customer base? Are you getting repeat customers? Yeah, and then are you paying that much in fees every month? So I think it comes down to that. But yeah, in Massachusetts, they tax yarn that is made, if yarn could be used for the construction of clothing, then it's not taxed. But if it's for rugs, then it is. Yeah. Yeah, so Etsy search can be really, really hard to be found. And for something like yarn, it can be pretty hard because there are so many different types of yarn there. And so what I optimize my tags and stuff for is more so people can find me. So variations on, like, I'll use variations on ChemKnits and stuff like that. So that way people can locate me. Because Etsy's like, oh, you know, like 30% of your like visits came from Etsy search. And I look and the top 3 results are like ChemKnit, variations of ChemKnits. So it's like people are searching, but they're searching for me specifically, and that's how they're coming to my shop. So my pleasure. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the stove. I will go ahead and preemptively reset the camera. Before we go over,
overzealous. Oh man, I thought I was going to sneeze, and then I thought about it, and now I probably won't. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Okay, so these are my two. See, like little bits that are a little more pastel like that are fine. That fits the mood. What I don't want are like large patches. Little bits of pastel are fine. But this yarn, where we have some resists, is more encumbered. But again, I don't mind having some light patches. Okay, so there's that I just found. Oh, that actually would bother me. How are we doing over here? Aha! Aha! Found it. Okay, let's bring it a little more together and a little more together. Think about what color. Maybe I will, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll do some twilight. It's like decisions. And here is Yarn Moppy. There are more skeins of stroll that I've pre-soaked, but I don't think I'm going to use them. Because it's amazing to me how twilight gray, I feel like it could be a temperature thing as well, when it breaks versus when it doesn't, and when it looks more like gray versus looking more blue. I'm sure I added some more. I feel like now I am about ready to call it. So now I am actually going to steam Moppy Mopperson, who is frozen. Thank you. Now I'm actually going to put Mopperson in the bath. And steam set that for 20 minutes. And I am actually going to set a timer for 5 minutes, at which point I'm going to add more water into here. And in the meantime, I am going to clean up a little bit, put the dyes away, and so feel free to drop more questions into the chat, and once I get back to my talking head spot,
some more questions. Okay, the dies are back in the jar. So I have a plastic bin. I have multiple plastic bins where dies live, and I'm wiping down the countertop. I recently replaced the shower curtain, and so it is all shiny and already a little bit stained. Not so much from tonight, but from like another night. But it's like super soft. Probably because I haven't like Lysoled it yet. Because sometimes to remove dye, I'll use like a Lysol wipe or something. But I am just taking a wet paper towel, wiping it down. Then I usually come back and do that again in case there's any dye that dissolves. But I also do this on the floor. So what I like about Dharma dyes is that the jars are clean, fairly clean, and the dye does not get all over the place. Now, part of this could be related to some of my chemistry training for not spilling stuff, but yeah, it's just it sort of like stays close to itself. Sandy, you are up so late. Thank you so much for joining and watching so late at night. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, Bobby McMopperson. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Oh man, I'm really, really happy with this colorway. The one thing that might have to wait, actually I'll wait for the recap, is to remove the resists. So there's only 2 resist points that I used. And it may have froze, but I'm not that fussed. You know, swapping it. It probably could be the steam. But if I did a cover, then we couldn't see the pretty yarn. So, like on this yarn, I have so many resist points. The one today just has 2. 2 of the skeins have 2 resist points. And it's over white, so we might get some pastel in those areas, but you can see you get some pretty harsh demarcation lines. But one difference with this Wilton's Violet that I'm showing up there is that the yarn wasn't being moved around a ton. I poured the dark dye, I think I poured it on in the steam pan and tried not to move things very much. And so that limited how the dye could access as well. So, yep. Oh man. I've been very tired lately, but I am so excited. I wish that my energy levels have not, my baseline has sort of shifted down a little bit recently, and I don't know, it's not quite what I would call like a flare-up or something, but it's definitely like, I find myself like wanting to like go to sleep at like 2 in the afternoon. And so that's been hard. Okay, the camera is moving. All right, I want to add more liquid, more bananas. Sorry, it's an Elephant and Piggy reference. I can never help myself.
We Are in a Book is possibly one of the best children's books ever written. Okay, this is 8 cups of water with 4 tablespoons of white vinegar. And the reason for doing this, I think most of the colors have absorbed, but by letting things have more liquid and move a little bit more freely, then there's a better chance that everything is submerged and will be well set. So now, even though 5 minutes have already passed, for 20 minutes, then I'm going to turn off the heat and let everything cool off in their various pots so they get more exposure to heat, and I'll be able to fall asleep. The change of seasons always throws off your sleep patterns and energy levels. Yeah. That absolutely could influence things. I have more allergy issues in the fall. Figured why not do a reset just in case. Just in case. Well, actually, I have an idea for something. Let's do something a little different since we're coming near the end. Do I have... Oh, tennis ball isn't even over here. Video. An existing tennis ball. Ha! Wait, actually, can I rotate it? Rotate. There we go. It's kind of weird. But let's say I can be bigger, so then you can still see what we created tonight. Yeah, so my allergies are absolutely worse in the fall. Okay, but this is actually bothering me. I'm gonna swap sides. There. Okay, I like that better. I don't know why. Yeah, I have worse allergies in the fall for sure, so that definitely has an impact on things. But yeah, I have a, like, not the best explained, but I have a chronic fatigue issue, and so yeah, it's been a bit worse lately, and so I don't know if it's like stress of like the new year and like and everything or what, but yeah, it's sometimes, and I think again in the Q&A video someone asked something about this, but I was like, if you watch a lot of my stuff, I don't know if you can tell when I have to stop and I'm like, don't know where my brain is currently at, but the nice thing is that I can, it's not that I don't use my brain when I'm being creative and artistic, but it's that I'm able to detach. Oh, excuse you. It's that I can sort of detach my decision making thing that like I then really struggle with when I'm in a brain fog. That doesn't really come into play. I just am like, I feel very free when I'm being artistic, and so that is really nice. Your kid's seasonal allergies prompted a COVID test before he could go back to school. Yeah. Oh, that's so hard. That's so hard. Thankfully, like, my worst symptom this year has been dry eyes for allergies, which I'm like, I think this is like the one thing that isn't a COVID symptom. But, oh, I think the kids were supposed to get, soon the kids will get weekly testing through school. Keith is tested weekly through work, so that's been nice. But yeah, I am on, I mean, even with like
daily Claritin. Like there are days when I'm like, yeah, I can just tell that it's going to be like a little harder. And mainly it's because the symptoms get bad after I come in from being outside. So you have executive function issues and it can be very tiring. Yeah, I feel like I need to do some new testing again, but I don't enjoy doing that kind of stuff. But the last like big diagnostic round I had was before I was married. Oh gosh, before I was married, so probably approaching, or not just approaching, I think probably 12 years ago was when I went through the massive round of diagnostic stuff and everything was coming up negative, negative, negative. The only thing that wasn't negative was that I got a diagnosis from a sleep study of hypersomnia, which means I'm very tired. And I came out from that like, so I come in saying I am excessively tired. And my diagnosis was that I'm very tired. So that, yeah, it was funny. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining me tonight for the September 2021 ChemKnits Dye-Along live stream. And again, I encourage you to dye your own versions of yarn inspired by this beautiful stormy night photograph. And then if you want to be featured in the recap where I will remove the resists, show the finished version of this yarn, and Moppy McMopperson, I'll show the finished versions of that in the live stream recap. Share your yarn on Instagram using the hashtag ChemKnitsDiealong, or look for this photo on the ChemKnits Facebook page, which is also linked. That photo is linked in the video description, and reply with a photo comment. Please, it's best for me if you you're welcome to submit multiple photos of your project, but I prefer standalone photos to collages just because it looks better in the video, even though sometimes I'll pull people's collages. I prefer just like a standard image. But yeah, I mean, I just love that people participate and dye along with me, and I love sharing it all together in the recap because I think it's really fun to see how similar and different people's colorways can be. Yeah, good night. Yeah, but oh man, and yep, ChemKnits Hanukkah pre-orders, link below, and then again the Nitpicks and We Crochet coupon sale. I think that I have that in the video description as well. I think that down there I have links. I should have links. Yes, I have links to that. So the top 3 paragraphs. The first is the Nitpicks We Crochet sale. Next is the Hanukkah sampler. And then after that, I have to say how to submit your photos and the link for the Facebook image. And again, there's not a hard deadline, but typically I will start pulling photos for the recap between the like 12th and 17th of the month. That's usually when I pull photos to insert into the recap. Because ideally, I like to try to share a new photo on the 15th and then do the live stream shortly thereafter. Oh, Indie Pons, you're fine. In practice, that's not quite how it always goes. So I do my best. But life gets in the way sometimes. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. And oh, please subscribe, turn on notifications, give the video a thumbs up. All this really helps the channel grow. And yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. And I cannot wait to see what beautiful colors you create. Good night, everyone. Bye.